the president said something interesting. He wants someone consistent with the mainstream interpretation of the Constitution. I would think that that caused a few hairs on the back of conservatives to stand up.
Well, I guess that's right in the sense that people use that term, but they only really mean a justice who I would agree with. You know, for both sides, someone who obeys the Constitution is someone who agrees with their beliefs, and someone who disagrees with them, they deride as an activist judge. It was interesting that President Biden, I think, cited the name of Justice Breyer, wanting someone to follow along those lines, a liberal but not a radical, and perhaps hoping to pick up some Republican support for his nominee, whoever that should be.
The president also says he does want Republicans to be on board with this selection. However, in one sense, he doesn't care if they're on board with his selection. He's kind of sent a different message in different conversations. But who is he considering right now? I know we started to see that list come out a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's right. So I think three of the frontrunners are Ketanji Brown Jackson, who's an appellate judge in the District of Columbia, J. Michelle Childs from South Carolina, and Leondra Kruger, who is a Supreme Court of California justice. Worth mentioning, Adrienne, that all those women are in their 40s or early 50s, so if any one of them was confirmed, she could reasonably expect to be on the court for several decades. And of course, judicial nominations are one of the main ways in which a president can secure a very lasting legacy for himself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about inflation, because the president did touch on that. New data support shows that global coffee bean reserves are at their lowest level in more than 20 years, and coffee shops have a shortage of things like to-go cups, according to the Wall Street Journal. So are some lawmakers going to try to spin this as a way, a means of pointing to the fact that we need to be more green? I mean, what can be done about this? We're all seeing fewer things on shelves.
We are, and there's a number of complications to this. I think lawmakers are going to use these supply chain issues as a way to criticize the Biden administration, but it's a very complicated situation. The coffee bean shortage, for example, is partly because coffee growers in Brazil now feel that transportation costs have risen so high that they're better selling to the domestic market. So you have a factor like that affecting how much you or I pay for a cup of coffee, and that sort of suggests or is an insight into how complicated this topic is.
Well, anytime don't ever talk about somebody's kids, and don't ever tell somebody that there's a coffee shortage. Both going to elicit a response that you will not forget. All right, Niall, Stanage, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.